All right. This meeting is called to order. First item is approve the minutes from the previous, we only have one, previous meeting.
Oh, yeah.
I have to admit, I didn't look at this yet. We'll pause for a sec. Okay. Any comments, y'all?
Nope.
Any changes? Okay. We'll accept the minutes as presented and move on to provisional ballot review for the runoff.
So we had 3 provisional ballots cast on Election Day. We had no early provisionals. The first one that we have is for a voter who was not registered to vote. They
Okay.
couldn't find him in the poll book. He had just turned 18 not too long ago, and he honestly wasn't sure if he was registered to vote or not.
Okay.
And so they went ahead and let him vote a provisional ballot. It was his first time to go to the polls.
Sure.
And so the clerk has confirmed they can't find any registration for him, but we will follow up and make sure he did fill out a voter registration card
Okay, good.
and get him registered to vote in the future, but that one would be a no.
And
cannot
encourage him,
count.
if you talk to him, encourage him.
Yes.
Not to be discouraged.
Yeah, definitely. Learning experience.
I went to my first one and I wasn't registered, so I'm giving up.
He's not the only, so during the general election, you know, we did the student training. And
yeah.
we had several Fayetteville High School students who came in and worked for us. And they had turned 18 and they had gone to get their new driver's license at the DMV. And they had registered to vote, but they had registered to vote after the deadline. So they
yeah.
weren't eligible to vote, but 2 of them voted provisionals because they're like, it's our first time
Yeah,
and we
let
came
us do
here.
something.
And they had told
We
their
wanna
parents
practice.
they were, and so
Practice. That's
so
it.
they did.
We
So
need
yeah,
to, we need to hold a practice class for the high
Yes.
schoolers. That's a great
So-
idea.
so yeah. So the next 2 are yeses. These it's a couple. They showed up to vote. They had been issued absentee ballots, but their absentee ballots
didn't
did
show
not
up.
return,
Okay.
and so those are eligible to be counted.
Okay.
Check the yes and
Yeah,
sign.
check the yes and sign.
Over there because we're gonna count
Yeah.
those.
These are eligible, you wanna look at them?
Yeah, I'll just keep them.
Pass them down at
stacked
that
here.
end.
Oh, yeah, you've got a stack, don't you?
He's used to that.
I roll.
That stack disappeared in a hurry.
Well, with your permission, these 2 are eligible to be counted. We
We'll
thought
go
we would
ahead.
go ahead and count them and
Yes.
get them added
Sure.
into our numbers. That one is the no, if you'll open these up. And they go into this machine right there.
You let
Yeah.
your winter growth come out.
So,
Yeah, to some degree.
Is it,
Just hadn't gotten to it.
I was just thinking it's November when the PD does their beard thing, right?
It is. I think
So
it
it's
is
not
November.
December.
Same
yeah.
time in the winter though. You know, optional.
Yeah, yeah.
so, and they'll go ahead and do that and run
Okay.
the tapes and we can.
I let
You
mine
want us
grow
to
out.
move
My
on?
wife will
We
let me.
can while we're
Okay.
doing that, if you want to.
All right, let's look at the absentee
White
ballot.
streaks here.
Oh, yeah. that'd be
Okay.
good. That would look good. I support it.
She said it looks like I've been eating biscuits and gravy.
So, last night when we were having the commission review the absentee ballots that were the remakes,
Oh, that one.
yes,
yeah.
there was one remake ballot that there wasn't a City of Farmington race on there. And so I went ahead and set it aside. And so when our canvassers remade the ballot, they made it as a no selection because they, you know, shouldn't vote for anyone if there wasn't
Right.
anyone on there. And so I wanted to just see exactly what the mistake was if our canvassers had written down, because it said on the ballot, and I'll show you. Yes, yeah. It said on the ballot, this was the ballot what the canvassers reviewed, and I thought, well, maybe we just saw it as Fayetteville, and, or it should have been Fayetteville 3 instead of Farmington 3,
uh-huh.
and we made a mistake. But,
Oh, they received a Fayetteville ballot.
yes, so initially when the overseas ballots went out from that new vendor,
Oh, yeah.
and they had made the mistake and they sent out wrong ballots, I confirmed that this particular voter is actually registered in Farmington 3, but they received a Fayetteville ballot. So my question,
And it was the instant runoff ballot, so there was no recourse.
no, there was nothing for him to do. So my question is, you know, the voter in good faith returned
Right.
a ballot to us to get credit for voting in the runoff election that was his assumption he was eligible to vote for because he is a registered voter in Farmington 3. But the vendor had made a mistake in the ballots that they sent him.
Yeah.
So we can give the voter credit for voting, but we would need to run that ballot through with the no selections made on it, and it would be an undervote. So if we do that, then that makes our numbers match, or we just not give this voter credit for voting. So this is like a situation we've not had, so I don't really
Right.
know what the proper recourse is to do. Because for some people, it does matter to show that their record that they voted. He's not one who will fall off the voter rolls. He's a very active voter, so that's really not an issue. But I'm really,
I mean, he cast the ballot that he was given.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
voted in the election. I think he gets credit for voting.
I agree.
okay. And so we'll just run the ballot through as a no selection made, which then will even out our numbers. Okay.
Right.
I just wanted to, you know, this
And
one,
and it's not gonna change the results
No.
of that
No.
Farmington race anyway.
right.
Okay.
So, okay. So then this is, I went ahead because last election night, I spoiled that ballot because I really wasn't sure
Yeah.
what the issue was until I could look at the records and then I could visit with the clerk. So this is a remake ballot of that Farmington
Of
3.
the Farmington, okay.
Yes.
If you wanna look at that. You need that back to run it, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's going in the other one. Okay. So.
We're not using that vendor anymore, are we?
I do think that the Secretary of State's office will need to visit definitely with that vendor. One of the things that when we set up an election, you know, we proof everything
Right,
so much
yeah.
so on our end. But those ballots that are emailed, we don't ever get a chance to proof
Right.
those. That just like, they take our BOD that we create for that election and then create these emailed ballots. And so there's no chance for us to look at them. And the theory is that the BOD that they take from us has been proofed from us. So then their ballots that they make, but they, you know, like earlier when we found out about this problem, they had mapped the wrong precincts to the wrong ballot styles is what created the problem. And, you know, we never proofed any of
Right.
that. So
How many did we end up having?
there was only a handful.
But it could have been significantly more.
Oh, it definitely could have. They caught it early enough
Yeah.
that they were able to fix the problem, but I think it was at least 16 or 20
Yeah, that's what I was
ballots.
thinking.
What, if you were, gonna give that vendor another opportunity, what would be the fix? To have a conversation with them to say, you know, how do we fix this? Or, you know, is there something different that we need to do from this end? Or should we proof your email ballot?
I think at the very least, letting us proof
Yeah.
the mapping.
Yeah.
Is
Be-
there, if it was another vendor who had not made a mistake, would we still want to proof their email?
Yes. I've always, you know, when we send those emailed ballots off, we have no control over them.
Yeah.
And previously, ES&S did this service for the Secretary of
Right.
State's office. So they knew, basically, they would just take our PDFs out of the ballot on demand file is the file that we've created, that we send to them, and they would just, there's PDFs of every ballot in there, and they would take the PDFs and then just directly make the ballots. And so because it was ES&S, it's kind of, we knew they knew exactly what our files meant. With this new vendor, I don't
You
know.
have no idea how they screwed it up.
Yeah, how they did the mapping. We never saw the sheets until after the problem, and then they
Right.
sent them to us, and we were able to see where they had assigned the wrong ballot styles to the wrong precincts.
How many other counties have encountered this problem that you know of?
So we were, I think, only us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was widespread across
Okay.
the state.
We may
But
not know if it was though.
that's
That's
true
true.
too, because
Yeah.
we were alerted because two of our, who used to be absentee ballot canvassers,
Right.
received ballots, so they were very familiar with precincts and which ballots that they should receive, and they had called the clerk's office. And then once that
You
started
started
rolling.
looking.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, have you visited with the SBEC or SOS about this specific vendor?
No, not
Okay.
yet. And I feel like that'll probably be a discussion for next year
Yeah.
about how that process works and everything. But we did, when all of this happened, we did get clarification both from the Secretary of State's office that the vendor admitted that this was their mistake. Because,
Oh.
if we had made a mistake, we wanted to know
Right,
where could we
right.
have prevented this mistake.
Yeah.
And the vendor fully admitted that it was a mistake on their end, so.
Wow.
I don't
It's
think
odd
it's,
that there's a vendor at all and that the counties don't just handle this process.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
I'm not sure why it's set up that way, do you know?
I don't know, except I know, the whole program started with being able to email military
Right.
ballots. And in the past, we did have the ability to email them our PDFs, basically.
Yeah.
And then I guess they tried to streamline it.
Maybe there was a
And
security
it
issue
could have been.
involved in it that would
Yeah.
I don't know.
preclude it coming straight from us to the Uocava people.
We should
I
ask.
don't know.
And
Yeah.
And see, because if it was done that way in the past, it's just interesting that's done with an outside vendor through the state level when counties are run. Otherwise, elections are run at the county level.
Right, right,
good point.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't you visit with somebody at, would that be Leslie maybe?
It would,
SOS,
Josh, yeah, I
Josh,
can visit
okay.
with Josh and Leslie and kind
Yeah.
of see how that works and see if we need, because if there's something we can proof,
Or if we can figure out a way to take it back
yeah.
Yeah.
so that that is under our purview.
If we are the ones who are going to deal with the backfire from an issue or a problem, then we should have the last look at that problem when
Right.
it goes out.
Yeah,
Whether it's reviewing what's going to go out or doing it from this office.
Right.
Yeah.
doing it from here, yeah. Okay, if you'll do that, I would like to know for sure that this is not gonna happen again.
Right, I agree because, it could have been much more widespread.
Absolutely, and we've got a big election coming
Yeah.
up. We don't need it to happen on that scale.
Yeah, and we have the capability to make the PDFs
Right.
That's true.
because we already have the PDFs.
Exactly, and
So-
I mean, PDFs are so incredibly useful. Why create another round of it if you've got a PDF?
Yeah,
That
because
doesn't make
they
any sense.
totally recreated the ballot.
Yeah,
They didn't just take our, like in the past, when ES&S did it, they just took our PDF
Sure.
and just emailed our PDF.
Yeah.
But this time, they actually recreated ballots.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, it seemed like extra work to me.
absolutely,
So-
recreating the wheel, you
Yeah.
don't need that. Okay, that's the only other one that we have
Reduce the
then.
font and create.
Yeah, they reduced the font so nobody could read it. Thank
Oh,
you,
yeah,
dear.
that was the one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Those are different reports.
Oh, these are different?
Yeah, there's two of them.
One of them is the results from last night, and then the other one is, from
Today.
the results as of today's.
Okay. Okay, what do you got?
I don't know.
The one that has 2542 is the current one. 2539.
2542 is current,
This is-
2539. So
okay.
Okay, so these are
This
different.
is current, that was from last night.
Yeah, it was basically the zero.
Okay. Oh, I see, you've got one that's a zero, okay. Okay, nothing in the results has changed. So, we are good with this. I'll let you look at that.
Okay. Here, that's the same as this one, isn't it?
Yeah, you
No.
should have two.
Yeah, this is current and that's current, same.
Oh, okay, there's two of
2542,
them.
yeah.
All right, and that must
They
be
got
the
two
zero
copies,
tape.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that all of?
That's it. You reviewed the absentee ballots that we rejected. And then the absentee ballots, there were 3 of them where there were no IDs.
Oh, yeah.
We mailed letters to them already, but I did call
Good.
and talk to those voters, 2 of them. One of them I couldn't reach, but just
Okay.
to let them know.
Okay. Okay, upcoming meeting dates, next, is it Thursday, 15th? Are you guys good with that at 9 o'clock? I mean, you gotta be good with it, that's on the letter.
I'm good with it. I was just putting it on there.
Okay, perfect. And then, other business,
I don't have anything.
anyone?
I don't think so. Anything else we need to talk about?
The only thing, and I'll have it for us at the meeting on the 15th. I know the county's been talking about raises for employees, and our employees aren't ever really fully included in
Yeah.
that discussion because they're part-time, they're not graded employees. And when we submitted our original budget, we did not submit any raises with our budget because we want to match essentially what the county does.
Okay,
And,
in a percentage.
right. So I think depending on what the county does, and we won't know because we'll be meeting before the county
Oh,
meets. We will need to make a decision about raises for staff. And it may be that if they go with this new plan that they've been talking about, the percentage of raise is about 17%, which is a big
Wow.
step from in the past where it's just been like 3%, 4%.
Right.
If it is that 17%, I'll bring you the list of the jobs that we
Okay.
have with their current salary, with their current dollar amount that they make, and then what the 17% would be. If we do that, we would need to ask the quorum court for more money for 2022. It'd be roughly around $30,000 if the court goes with the 17% and the commission agrees with the 17%. And so we would need to make that request. We would have to do it in January because right now
Yeah.
we don't know what they're going to do.
Well,
So
do
we
we
don't
need to
know.
meet before the end of the year then?
We could, if the commission would like to do that, and that way,
When
Or-
do they decide?
that night,
Which night?
the 15th.
Oh, okay, the 15th.
Yeah, they'll
So
just,
we'll know for sure on the 15th.
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
night. Yeah, we should meet right after that. and
Yeah,
then-
that would be my thought
Yep,
is,
and then match the recommendation and then move forward. with
right,
asking them
right. Can
for
you
the
have those
increase.
figures, like, if we met, I mean, I don't know, 15th is a Thursday, the next day or something, if
Yeah.
we,
There's no time to waste with that sort
Right,
of thing. You
right,
know, We might as well.
when is the meeting where they're doing the resolution?
so I passed that on, I meant to bring that copy of what you sent me. I have passed that on to Brian. I feel like it probably won't be until January because
Oh.
resolutions have to go through the,
A committee?
yeah, and it's not personnel,
Okay.
it's the one that meets services, county
Oh,
services.
yeah, okay,
We had missed the deadline for the county services, so
Gotcha.
it may be January
okay.
before that one. goes through.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking if we could do it at the same time, that would make sense, but, so the county will meet, or the quorum court will meet on the 15th that evening. That's gonna be their last meeting of this year, correct?
Assuming they pass the budget.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
You know,
yeah.
assuming they pass the budget and assuming they pass the pay raises, that would be their last meeting of the year.
Okay.
And then if the commission wanted to meet, then that way and approve the raises, then January 1st.
We'd still have to submit an amendment to our budget.
We would, I mean, we would have the money go at the beginning of the year, obviously, to
right.
pay for it. And we would have it in there if we didn't have really any elections. But we want to be, we want to be open about the process.
Well, it is it's a legitimate expense because if they're doing it to the rest of the county, it is what we need to have for our people.
Yep.
What is
So-
the worst case scenario if they meet the evening of the 15th and they do not pass the budget? They will have to come back and meet again before January?
Oh, yes, yeah. We cannot go forward without a budget being passed
So
this year.
before the end of this year, they would have to meet again.
Yes.
So we know that by January 1st, we will have an answer.
Oh, good point.
So should we wait until after that before we meet and approve? Or do we need to do it before January 1st?
That's a good question.
We can always, the employee raises will go into effect January 1st. We can always, if we didn't meet before January 1st, we could do, as long as we didn't do it
In July.
in July. I don't think the comptroller would fuss at us too much. You could do back,
It would be retroactive.
as long as we met early
Yeah.
in January.
But that would mean getting it on the quorum court's agenda. And, I guess the way I feel about it is that when they're handling the rest of the courthouse's budget, or the personnel expenses, that it makes sense for ours to be part of that, or at least adjacent to that discussion.
Can we pre-approve an amount up to 20%?
Yeah,
So-
yeah, it's a good question. How are they doing it? How are they structuring it? Can we just ask them?
Wouldn't that be nice to know?
To Jim's point, to amend the ordinance now to include all of our employees? Is it like a flat rate?
No, it's not. It's so that 17% is an average. And
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know how, so our positions are not graded.
Yeah.
And so because we're part-time. So I just took the 17% because that's the average of the
okay.
raises, and the commission will want to look at it and see.
Yeah.
That's why,
So we have to wait until they make their decision before we can approve anything.
right, because it would be hard for us to ask for 17% raises for our employees if that's not what they've approved for the rest
The
of
majority.
And
of
we
the
think that may
county.
change. It's all in
I
flux.
have no idea. I honestly, I don't know. I've watched the
this-
meetings. I don't know what they'll do. And
You
they.
don't?
I
Who's,
don't
who's on that committee?
know which
The
one.
personnel?
Lisa.
Okay,
Lisa Ecke
Lisa's
is.
the chairman of
Lisa
that one?
Ecke is the
Okay.
chairman of that one. But now, see, that will all change too, though,
Oh,
in
that's
January,
true.
because
Yeah.
then they'll get new committee
So
assignments.
why don't we schedule a meeting after the 15th? And why don't we schedule it, instead of the next day, maybe we ought to wait a couple of days, give you a chance
Right.
to reach out to us and say, hey, we don't need to meet, or we do need to meet.
See what they've got and how it shakes out. for the
Yeah.
rest of the county.
Right, because if they just
Fine with
did the cost of living raise,
Oh, yeah.
we have enough in our budget to meet a cost
Oh,
of living.
without having to go to the quorum court for more.
Right. The 17% is a little bit higher than what we've ever kind of had to
Yeah.
adjust before, and so that would, you know, that would require us to ask for more money based on if we, you know, we wouldn't have to if we knew that we only had one small election.
Right.
But we
Right.
don't know for
Yeah,
sure
we
what
have
we'll
no idea.
have. And I don't want to necessarily go into the year and then we're short money and then we have to come to the quorum court. to
Well,
ask
and
for
that
money.
may be the case, that we have a big election that is unexpected and we do have to go back. Maybe it's better to go back then.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know how much I don't like to go back to the
I
quorum
know,
court.
I know. And I tried to do the numbers to figure out,
Yeah,
you know, if we only had the school election, probably we
Right.
have just enough money that we've requested to meet the 17%
Yeah.
raise.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Well, I agree with Jim. Let's set a meeting tentatively.
Maybe
Let's set
we-
one a couple days after
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
vote.
I
Well,
mean,
that-
you could, I'm sure that after they meet, you could send out a message to us, tell us, well, we'll
Right.
meet tomorrow or not, if you want, if we had to set it on the 16th.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not locked into anything. I'm just, you know, I feel like when the impulse hits them to do it and approve it, if indeed they do approve it, we need to jump on that in quick order to make sure that our department is not forgotten.
I agree.
But do we
I
need
agree.
a little bit of time
We do.
to absorb what they've done?
Yeah.
and Understand it.
yeah, because I need to figure out how did they, you know, with the graded positions, how did they decide who
Yeah.
got what? And, you know, I don't know exactly. And I wanted to be able to take a look at, I'll visit with Becky
Okay.
and kind of see in her office what some of her positions are being paid.
Yeah.
Because we have some
Comparable.
similarities
Yeah.
with her office and just different things like that.
Maybe we
but-
could schedule it the last week of the year. Is that, I mean, you think that's time enough?
Well, for me to get so
Because you're gonna take some time to evaluate it.
right. I
And
mean,
we don't wanna rush you. You might even have a Christmas vacation.
I know. So I guess part of the question is the commission will need to answer is what percentage of raise do we want to do?
Right.
Do we want to go ahead and submit the
Budget request.
submit the budget request,
Yeah.
but also go ahead and submit, do we want to submit the pay raises to HR before the budget request or after the budget? I mean, you know, I want to,
Okay, yeah.
that's something to think about because I don't want to necessarily do something that we know is going to put our budget
Right.
over and then have to go back and say, hey, listen, we did this, and then I don't want to get a slap on the wrist for, for,
You're not accustomed to that yet?
I don't like to get in trouble, so, so yeah, so yeah.
Okay, well, let's,
So when do we need to meet? For your purposes, for, you know, what you're talking about?
we need to
being
give
ready.
her a window to
And
evaluate.
are there things that we can discuss today? We should discuss today.
I can run down and get my little, it's just a little scratch
wanna
sheet
discuss some of
that I
kinda
got,
wanna
or
see
do you
what
want?
they do, Cause I don't know
Yeah.
if they're gonna stick to whatever plan we look
Okay.
at.
Right.
Yeah,
So let's let them
Well-
decide, and then let's have a meeting.
Okay.
I would suggest the following week, because we want to strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah,
Is there
And-
anybody that can't meet the following week? I mean, I can meet it.
Well, not at this point, but I'll tell you, my schedule is gonna fill up pretty quick.
Yeah.
Not much, I mean, it's hard around the holidays,
Right.
you know.
and that's what I was trying to avoid, was pressuring us too much during that week. and, I mean, really, and the next. I just feel like those are awful weeks.
The only day I cannot meet is the 19th, and my son has to have surgery that day, so that's the only day I
Hope
can't
it's not
meet.
anything too
Huh?
serious. Hope it's not anything too serious.
No, it's not. It's he's got an extra bone in his ankle, so it's like an
Oh,
ortho
wow.
surgery.
He's got a
It's-
spare.
Yeah, it's yeah, he's got a spare. So yeah, so it's a
So,
outpatient
you
thing, so
wanna-
it's not.
Okay,
Well, maybe we can meet on the 20th.
my anniversary.
Oh, you don't meet on your.
53 years.
53
Wow.
years.
Yep, no, I can meet that day. I see my husband every day now that he's retired, so,
Do you?
you know,
So you wanting to get away?
I'm thinking, this may not be the best deal here. Yeah, the 20th is
Yeah,
fine
that
with
sounds
me.
fun. Let's
Okay.
do that.
All right, what time?
9?
You wanna go at 9?
Okay.
All right, I think we'll plan on making a decision
Okay.
as to the percentage increase and requesting the budget increase all that same day.
At the
Yes.
same time,
Mhm.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
And anything else we need to do.
okay.
All right, good deal.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Like a winner.
Does that give you enough time?
Yeah, I already kind of preliminary sit down and did some numbers just to kind of see, because I was hoping maybe
Yeah.
I had
Squeak!
I could, and I was like, I just hate running so close to our
Right.
budget
Yeah.
line. I was like, that'll make me nervous all through the year.
But we need that for 2022 instead of, or, no, it goes into effect 2023.
2023, right.
But it is an amendment to our 2022 budget?
Our 2023 budget that
Okay,
they're approving.
okay. I
So
thought you had said
basically, right.
2022, and I
So
was
basically,
fine.
in January, the quorum court would meet on the 19th.
Okay,
Their finance committee
Oh,
would meet on
okay.
the 10th. So we would need to have something
ready by
ready for them
Yeah.
to say that they're willing to put that extra money into our budget to match the raises that they gave the regular employees who were not included because we're, and the hand slap I think we're gonna get is, well, why didn't you bring this to us?
Well, you didn't tell us it was gonna be 17%.
Right, so I had no idea that would.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And that's the average. Not every employee is
Right,
gonna get
right.
that, and I don't know how all that works. I'll just need to visit with Becky or with Patty.
Okay,
in
now, let me
HR.
ask this, if it had just been a COLA,
We can,
we'd be okay
we
with
would
that?
be okay with that, yes.
Okay. So, yeah, if you have, are you gonna be able to talk with the comptroller? Excuse me, about those figures then?
Yeah, I'll be able to visit with them
Okay.
about that and kind of visit with Patty.
Okay.
With us being part-time, it's a little bit difficult. I know Patty had mentioned it to me earlier, but it was
Oh.
like election season, so it's hard to
Yeah,
get it all, and I never dreamed that this would be the kind of pay raises that they would be talking about. I assumed it would just be cost of living, something less than 10%,
Yeah.
something,
right.
so.
Okay, do you also have figures on what Benton County is paying their people?
I can get from Kim what they're paying.
We probably need some comparable, information just to say, this is what other counties are doing.
Right.
In
Yeah.
this area, similar.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can get with Kim. Now, she divides, the only difference is she divides her labor up
Right,
differently.
right.
And that has been the discussion that they've talked about, is because they just did job title to job title. If you
Oh.
did ours office job title to job title, you wouldn't be able to do it because we, for one, she has 3 full-time employees. We all work part-time, and because of that, I have a few more people,
Right.
and so we divide things
Yeah,
up
that's
a
gonna
little
be
bit
hard.
differently. But I will certainly visit with
Okay,
Kim.
yeah, just give her some, get some info from her
Yeah.
and at least,
At least you could look at the whole value of the department
Yeah.
versus.
right,
Yeah.
right.
And, us being part-time, I really think is a benefit to the county because it saves the
Sure.
county money.
Yeah,
She's got full-time people that she works next year, but there's not a lot
Oh, yeah.
for full-time someone to do. So I do feel that it's an advantage for the county having us as part-time employees.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Okay, we'll let
So with
you,
the 20th, Tuesday the 20th?
Tuesday the 20th at 9 AM, and we'll see what we've got then.
Okay.
And, you know, if the county postpones all of this, then we'll just have to handle it next year.
We'll go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
To the 20th.
Any other?
Nothing.
Nope. Okay.
Okay.
We're adjourned.
Thank
Good
you.
one, thank you guys.
You too. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
We'll see you on the